Hey YouTube, what is going on? Just wanted to update you guys on some stuff with my mollies and what happened with them. Mollies are doing great. Um, I'm just checking something. Okay, no. Slowing down that. Okay. So, the mollies are doing great. There is one death in the past, uh, few weeks that I've had these mollies, and this molly was probably an older molly. She was a grayish color, and that tends to happen when the mollies age. So the mollies do get a grayish color as they age, as they get older. They can go from specifically a molly does that. Whether it's a Salfin molly, whether it's that is a beautiful molly. Oh my gosh, that is a pretty molly right there, Salfin molly. Um, as you can see, it was genetically bred to look like that. So basically, I'll explain that as well. Um, so I had this molly for a long time, and she was not eating at first. She was the end of the pecking order in my aquarium, as you guys know, obviously. And she wasn't really eating for the longest time. Then I got her to eat. Then I put her back in the tank. She was totally fine. Totally had no issues with the same exact fish that she was living with. Then I had a couple mollies die that weren't related to that molly in any shape or form. That molly was not sick. That molly was not um, sick at all when I got it. It was just being picked on by the more um, aggressive mollies in my aquarium. So it tended to not eat as much. It tended to stay away from the other mollies. And so I moved it into its own tank for about a day or a couple of days. Was eating fine, which is weird because normally they don't like to do that in a net breeder, but because he was so stressed, or she was so stressed, she ended up being in the net breeder, which is good. At least she didn't die right away, and at least she lived somewhat a long life. I don't know how old she was. Like I said, I never raised her from babies, so I don't know how old the fish was when I got it. And it was definitely a lot grayer. Now, mollies can eat off the top. They can eat off the bottom of the aquarium. So I don't think it was anything like I wasn't underfeeding them at all. And if they were underfed, they would naturally go after shrimp in my aquarium. They would naturally go after snails in my aquarium. I have put in pond snails, rabbit snail, ram's horn snails, and the Congo tetras that I do have in with them now do tend to like to go after them as well. So I figured that if anything, the molly would technically try to go after the shrimp. Haven't had that happen. I've had my Congos try to go after them, but I haven't had the mollies per se go after them unless they are sick and or dying. So, at that time I didn't really think, anything besides the mollies chasing the female that anything was going on. Now, there can be issues over time with the aggression level in the tank, but because of the way it was and because of how she was reacting with the other mollies, I don't think it was because of aggression. There was no way that, it could be aggression, but you're never gonna know because it's fish. You can't ask the fish, hey, why'd you die? Or why are you dying? The fish was eating fine. He was doing what he was supposed to do. And at some age, they just get lethargic. They want to hide. They want to lay in the bottom of the tank, and then they just pass away. It's not anything wrong with your tank. All my fish are fine. No signs of ick, no signs of fungus, no signs of any aggression to that one animal besides when I had her in the tank. She did not get pregnant, which means that she could have been either young or she could have been interbred with another, with a different, so she could have been interbred with a guppy and or a swordtail, at some point, or she could have been just old age. There's so many things that can occur when mollies do breed, and so many different genetics that prevent mollies from breeding or successfully breeding for that matter. So I don't know if she was too. I'm thinking she was definitely too old because she didn't grow anymore. She was pretty much full size, and none of the mollies really, like the mollies did chase her, but they didn't really like. It was more of an aggressive chase than it was a breeding chase. You can easily tell that if you watch mollies. They show off kind of to the females. If you have closer related, mollies to the South Molly, they will try to breed or try to show off a little bit. Same thing with any wild or close to wild guppy. They do tend to show off a lot, if they are more closely related to their wild cousins versus, a tank bred molly, which doesn't show off. It just tries to breed. And this doesn't always happen with the wild ones as well. So just be aware of that as you're breeding. If you do notice that or do not notice that, it doesn't make a difference anyways. Some mollies like to just breed, some mollies like to show off a little bit, so it just depends on the molly. Anyways, so this molly ended up surviving probably for about, I would say, 2-3 months, 4 months. Genetically, they live for 3-ish years. So it pretty much depends on how genetically she was and how she was made, genetic wise. So there's no way of really telling. I have no way of telling in my tank unless the pH was high. After the water change, she didn't like that and she just died. But genetically with mollies, with certain, I believe honestly, with certain genetic differences in the molly, you will run into shorter lifespan, and that would be probably kind of a Dalmatian Molly, because Dalmatian Mollies can be bred of so many different mollies where you get this speckled look, and then they get gray, and then they get black. So and how much of that melanin is safe for these fish, or how much of that black is safe for these fish, is up for grabs. I have no idea, neither does anybody else in this world. It could be a natural thing for them, it could be a not natural thing for them. There is this gene in the wild though. They have seen this genetic blackness on wild mollies. I don't think it has been found out yet how they got that coloration on them, but this is definitely a wild kind of gene in Florida, and I think that would be bred due to Wild Molly just being released, or tank bred Molly is just being released. That's simple. Um, and people have caught tank bred Mollies, tank bred this, tank bred that in Florida, as well as snakeheads and all that. So I wouldn't put it past it to have a Molly that was basically tank bred that was released that bred with a wild Molly, hence the black color, and that strain just stayed in that specific animal. Um, Now, when it comes to the coloration aspect of it, I don't know what the differences between a black Molly, white Molly, gray Molly. There is so many different colorations out there. You would have to go into the history of melanin, how that affects the fish, how that could cause the fish to die off easier, could cause issues. A lot of times mollies, especially Dalmatian mollies, they will turn gray or black as they age. This is normal for the molly. This is pretty much an all molly thing. Despite the silver kind of look of Dalmatian mollies, and the genetics that they use with them. So if you mix nobody has seen if you mix like lyre tail mollies with like a certain strain of Dalmatian Molly, if that's actually going to stick or if that's going to cause issues in the lifespan of that Molly or interfere with other things for that Molly. But it's really cool, honestly, to figure out, and as you own more of the Dalmatian gene, you could essentially figure out, okay, this gene works well, this gene works well, this matchup works good, this matchup works good. A lot of times with Dalmatian Mollies, it's about the Dalmatian color versus not. So people will send, like a bag full of Dalmatian Mollies or mixed Mollies per se, a Petco. Those Mollies will be not colorful, or they'll be Dalmatian looking, but they won't have like the full color like this. This or this, and this would probably be a weaker strain Molly anyways because of the genetic differences in this Molly. But as it's a Molly strain and anything in that perspective. If you look at this Molly was obviously bred by a black Molly to get that sailfin, and a Harlequin Molly to get that orangish color on it. Anyways, guys, there's going to be a part 2 because I am definitely tired. We're going to be talking about this lyre tail gene in part 2. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next live. Or video. I always say live. It's funny.